Bandwidth for all shows on the Aussie Tech Heads network is supplied by Aussie Tech Heads Web Hosting. For a fast, affordable and reliable Australian server with fantastic support, contact Aussie Tech Heads Web Hosting at aussietechheads.com.au. Aussie Tech Heads, Australia's best hosting service. Welcome to episode 446 of the Aussie Tech Heads. As always, we are proudly sponsored by ATH Web Hosting. Check out the Aussie Tech Heads web hosting site and sign up for your cPanel. Setting up email is a breeze. Aussie Tech Heads web hosting is at athwebhosting.com.au. And due to popular request, this show is once again hosted by Will and Jason, the top two Australian podcasting hosts. Yay! Woo!
Hey, yeah, it is about time they recognise it, eh?
We're number one. We're number one.
Number two? What kind of stupid name is number two?
How you doing, Will?
Not bad, mate, not bad. Good to be here. It's a little bit fresh this evening, but yeah, we're mixing it up. Glenn's renovating or burning his house down or, I don't know, something. So
why not both?
Yeah, a bit of both. Renovate one side, burn the other side down. You get this like hot and cold thing going on. So we've decided to step it up a notch tonight and got the stream going on. We're streaming to our usual Ustream live stream. We're also streaming to the Obsidian Loft, which is our channel, the thing that we do. Obsidianloft.com twitch.tv/Obsidian Loft. You can check us out there as well if the stream's playing up on Ustream. So, yeah, so it's throwing a bit of technological into the tech news. We're actually sort of living up to our name for once.
Stop using big words. You're confusing yourself, son.
Oh, tell me about it. I probably should have tried sleeping before the show, but anyway.
I woke up blooming 5 a.m. this morning, and I'm like, what the hell? I stayed in bed till about 6:30. I went, screw this for a joke. I might as well get up.
So I guess, seeing as we're firing off the show, we should talk about our stuff first. So don't forget, we do two podcasts, two main podcasts, myself and Warlock do. We do Old Fart Geeks, which is due to be recorded next week sometime, early next week, hopefully.
Or else we'll get told off.
Yeah, otherwise Milo will go off at us again. And we also do Obsidian Loft, which is our gaming podcast, which you can find at obsidianloft.com. You can find out our server there, and also youtube.com/Obsidian Loft and youtube.com/Old Fart Geeks, I believe.
The Obsidian Loft.
The Obsidian Loft, sorry, yeah, there you go. And yeah, so you can check us out there as well if you can't get enough of us. If we have this addictive personality and you know, there's one show is just not enough, 1 hour a week.
Or AussieTechRadio.com, where it's got all of us all the time, 24/7, live and dead and
yeah,
otherwise.
Well, yeah, not just us, some other people as well, but they're not
Who?
as important
What?
as us.
No, I think it's just the Will and Jason shows, isn't it?
We gave some other guy a chance for a while, but, you know, some guy called Glenn, he can't be, I don't know what he's doing. It's something.
He's not one of the top two Australian podcasters.
No.
No,
not at all. And we can say that because we're taking over his show.
Yep. Again.
All right. So as we mentioned at the top of the show, this is Aussie Tech Head. So
you can see it there.
We talk about
Aussie
you can see some of it there.
Podcasting.
You can see seeing. Yeah. Oh, now you've broken your chroma key.
Nobody noticed.
So I guess basically the idea of this show is, of course, tech news pertaining mainly to Australia. So, yeah. So let's talk about it, I suppose.
We start off with story. So,
yeah, a story. Pick a story, any story. There's plenty of them this week.
All right. Here's something that's always bugged me. If a website you've signed up to emails your password to you, you've got a security problem that should send you running. Sadly, no authority is tackling the shoddy management of the keys to people's online lives, but thankfully two software developers from Israel are waging a campaign with the only means available, naming and shaming the perpetrators. In 2011, Egal Tabachnik and Omer Van Kloten launched the website Plain Text Offenders, not Defenders. They should make sure they should have a Defenders one as well. which now has 25,000 followers on Tumblr and has become the go-to notice board for outing organisations that fail to encrypt their users' passwords. Plain Text Defenders has named 3,100 sites for the practice, among them dozens of Australian organisations that should know better, including the ATO, Australia Post, AGL, Big Pong, Pond,
Ping pong? What?
Kennards, mydeal.com.au, Melbourne IT, who bought that other place I was working at, Mosh Tix, Pearson's, Pizza the Hut, The Good Guys, Ticketek, and TPG. Back in April 2011, I mentioned over Twitter that I was pissed off about yet another site emailing me my password in plain text, Van Cloten told us. Tabachnik shared Van Cloten's sentiments and suggested setting up a wall of shame. The site that emerged doesn't just shame offenders, but helps them fix their ways, with one of the latest reformed companies being Australian domain hosting firm Panther. So far, we've got 46 sites that we know have reformed their ways, he said. A conversion rate of 1.25% isn't that high, he conceded, but it's better than it was. So what exactly is the problem with a website emailing a user their password, say when a person has forgotten it? It means the user's login secret wasn't actually a secret, but rather sitting unencrypted on a database in plain text, readable by anyone with access to it. The main message they had come to hammer home is that website owners don't own their users' passwords. The passwords users provide them are sole and secret property of the users, he said. Developers should never know what the user's password is. If anyone but the user can know what it is, they're betraying their users' trust and putting them at risk. The bigger risk arises when a website is hacked. Studies have shown that as many as half of all users reuse passwords across multiple sites. ABC123 password. If the site stored passwords in plain text,
I was going to say, does anyone remember hackers? What is it? The four most used passwords?
God, love,
secret,
sex, and secret, something like that.
Yep.
The biggest risk arises when the website is hacked. Study has shown that most people use the same password everywhere. If the site stored passwords in plain text, hackers can use them to access more valuable accounts, such as a banking site, Facebook, or Gmail. And that's happened a lot of times where people are like, oh no, X site has been hacked, like Apple or something, but it turns out that Apple was secure, but they hacked some other site, got the email addresses and passwords from there, tested that on the Apple one, and got in because you use exactly the same thing. So LastPass it up, people. If you don't have LastPass, go get the damn thing right this second. Right now.
And hope your LastPass doesn't get hacked.
Yes. Well, that could never happen, right?
No, that's completely impossible. Nobody can have physical access to your system.
Well, LastPass did get hacked a couple of months ago. But he said no passwords were taken, so...
No passwords of importance were taken. It's probably just the ones to the porn sites or something.
ABC123.
Why change
69.
Hey, speaking of hacks and stuff like that, have you watched the new CSI
Dum dum. No.
one? Is it CSI? I think it is the new whatever it is. The technology one, where it's all cyber. I think it's called Cyber Crimes Unit or something like that.
Yeah.
It's all it's really neat. I watched a couple of episodes. Son's watching the series at the moment. I watched a couple of episodes on the weekend. And basically, they've got it's similar to CSI. They solve crimes, but they're only interested in cyber crimes, whether it's a murder pertaining to something that happened, or phones that have been spoofed, or
all those people playing violent games who then go around shooting up everyone. Yeah, that happens a lot.
They do a really, really good job of it. There's a couple of things that are a little bit, maybe that's pushing the boundaries a bit, but for the most part, they actually do a pretty good job of it. They tend to actually use real words and real technology, and it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
So that one's something to watch out for if you're looking for another show to watch. That one and Scorpion is the other one that's worth watching. Same sort of deal. So, but yeah. So
I was
speaking
trying to remember that some of the guys from work have been talking about, like the robot or something like that. And it's all about a guy who's a IT security guy during the day and a hacker during the night. And it's a lot of the story is from inside his head about what he thinks about is happening to him. Sometimes he doesn't know if he's just paranoid or if it's really happening to him and things like that.
Oh, yeah, I vaguely sort of hear something about that.
Everybody at the last place I worked at were going off about it all the time, and one guy started watching it and he told the next lot and then the next lot, and then suddenly everybody at work was like, yeah, I've been watching this.
Sorry, I was in the middle of reading two. The only problem with having two streams is I now have two chat rooms. But here's something that
Mr. Robot.
Mr. Robot. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Here's something that's a little bit rude. This guy decided to take his computer. I'll quickly show you the screenshot here. He decided that he was moving and he was heading through New Zealand Customs. This is the new Gigabyte Assassin motherboard. As
Sounds dangerous.
Has
Should be
a plastic
banned.
gun on the motherboard. Now, as you can see, Customs decided that they needed to get to that gun and charge this guy for being a mass murderer. So they had to rip out all his PCIe cards and destroy his motherboard just so that they could get to a plastic weapon. That's actually the heatsink for the for the North Bridge or whatever they call those things now.
Yep.
So yeah, about that, guys. If you work in customs and somebody brings their computer in and it has a motherboard that has a gun on it, chances are it's probably not a real gun. And if in these day and ages you can't figure out how to pull a computer apart without destroying it, ergo destroying the evidence that you're trying to secure anyway, I probably would be thinking about, working somewhere else.
Maybe you should
Like,
ask the
I don't
guy
know,
who
padded
owns the
room.
computer to take it out for you.
Well, it was, from what I can gather, it was checked, obviously, because it was too big for carry-on. But he had Crossfire set up in there, so he had 3 cards in there. But, yeah, I don't understand.
He should get lots of compensation for that,
Well,
surely.
Yeah, thankfully, the way the government is structured,
They don't have
ergo
to
the
do
way
that.
customs is structured, if they break it, too bad.
You fix it.
It's in much the same way that they can just randomly confiscate anything that you choose to import, and tough.
I was watching
had-
that last night, Border Patrol.
I had some stuff confiscated.
Dun, dun.
I had some 2 milliwatt lasers imported. It had torches and stuff on them, and they were 2 milliwatt lasers, and they were imported. No, fine, not a problem.
Yep.
Then I imported 0.5 milliwatt ones that had a laser pointer, a torch, a tip that you could use on the tablet, and something else in
A
them.
nuclear generator.
And they were confiscated because apparently they were more powerful than the 1 milliwatt limit that the countries you're allowed to bring into the country.
So half was no good because it was more than the 1, but 2 is okay because it's less than 1.
Because it's less. Yeah, that's. I'm like, okay, I'll just.
You're trying to take down aeroplanes, aren't you? Admit it.
I'm like, okay, I'll just order the 2s from now, and I've ordered another 3 sets of 2s since then, and they've come through without a problem. I'm like, fine, I'll just keep getting the 2s. And given that on the stickers on the 2s it says greater, the arrow that says greater than 2, and on the other ones it had less than 1. But I'm assuming these guys don't know the maths.
Arrows are hard.
Yeah, arrows too complicated.
Too confusing.
Yeah,
Google
pretty much.
on Wednesday unveiled a new feature called Purchases on Google, which allows shoppers to buy items directly from mobile search ads. They're going to get in trouble for that. They've already got enough trouble from putting their search ads up there and people going to somebody else's site and buying things.
Yeah.
The eagerly awaited who is eagerly awaiting to buy something through Google search? Like, who wrote this?
The publisher, obviously.
The eagerly awaited buy feature, which Google said it was testing with a few retailers, uses saved payment credentials from the user's Google account for transactions. Both Google and Facebook have been stepping up efforts to advance location-based technology as consumers spend more time on smartphones. Along with the ads that pull in search results, shoppers would also get information on product ratings and availability at nearby stores, the internet search giant has said in a blog post. The additional information will be available on Google Chrome for Android this month, with iOS support to follow in the coming months, they said. Google's also said its Google Now service would now offer location-based information, including on discounts and items, and working hours of stores a user is close to. That'd be handy.
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely some upsides to that. So, We'll wait and see what they do with it. Like anything else, it always sounds good on the surface. It's not till they implement it that.
No, it's not on Surface. It's only on iOS and Android so
well,
far. I don't think it's ever coming to Surface.
There's not much on Surface these
Speaking of which, I finally got a work phone this week of my new job. It's a Windows phone, isn't it?
So they do it deliberately so you can't use much. You can't do much with it.
Everybody else there has got a Samsung Android. But for Jason, they go, we got this Windows phone nobody wants. Give it to him.
There was the one left in the bottom of the drawer, so it was the only one they had left to give you. Well, you could just use your own phone for work like I do.
I must say that it runs Exchange very nicely and Skype. Oh. That's the only two things I run on it.
I have to admit, Skype runs on everything really well except Windows. It doesn't do
We've
Windows.
had enough trouble.
Oh, Linux is fantastic. Android runs brilliantly on my Android.
Yep.
But yeah, you think it works on Windows? Nah. Actually, having said that, now I'm gonna put the mockers on us. But
now
it's been the best tonight. It's been a long time.
Watching.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. That's exactly right. So speaking of Google, well, it's kind of Google, Android, and Ingress.
Androids, everybody loves Androids.
So I'm assuming there's a lot of people out there who have played Ingress. I'm assuming you guys know what it is by this point. If you haven't,
I was doing that last weekend with some friends. We hopped on the free Melbourne tram with about half a dozen other people. We just sat there as it went from one end of the line back to the other around the city through the free route and just hacking all the way through and then hacking all the way back again. And they've even got a mission with a bunch of places tagged along the tram line. Excuse me, that if you complete the mission by hacking all of the ones that they've marked for the mission, and then you get bonus points at the end of it, which was really cool. We met at Federation Square information booth, and I was just in the city with my daughter, and I was like, well, there's a couple of things that we could do now. We can either go do some 10-pin bowling or meet up with some Ingress people. And she's like, oh my God, we're going to meet some. So we went and met, it's probably a dozen people, and we hopped on the tram, and eventually as people hopped off, we grabbed seats and we all moved up the back and just took up the back half of the tram, and we're going back and forth along here having fun. And this guy hops on, and he looked at the people near the door where he'd hopped on, who were sitting down there. He can see it's on the phones, blip, 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 blip. Shields got, Resonator got, and all of this. He's like, oh, are you playing that Google game there? What's it called? And they were like, oh, yeah, Ingress. He's like, oh, yeah, I've heard about that one. It's pretty good. Blah, blah, blah. He's having a bit of a chat, and he's going, so, there's a couple of you playing, and then we're all like, yeah, and it's like 12 people are like, we're all playing this game together, just sitting here, meeting new people and hacking the portals along the way on this. He's like, oh my God, he nearly fell over. He's like, I didn't realise there'd be so many of you. Like, yeah, we're having lots of fun, because it was a dreary, freezing cold and drizzly, rainy day. So we just sat on the tram for like 2 or 3 hours, going back and forth, having a chat and complaining about somebody who'd beat you to take over one of the portals and things like this. My daughter thought it was the greatest afternoon out. And it was good for really, windy, cold, rainy day. So we had a lot of fun with that one.
That's it. No, that was, I played it a few years ago back when it wasn't really a thing. And of course, because it wasn't really a thing, there wasn't really much going on.
Yep.
So, but now, they've sort of made it slightly more integrated now. It's a new update that goes on to the support of the Android Wear watches.
Nice. So
you can now, you not only have to keep your phone in your pocket, you can just wander around wearing your watch like you normally would and not be quite as obvious about it. So apparently it's Android Wear support is currently all hack and no attack, showing a scrollable list of portals either within or near your scanner range. Can be a burn if you're in a portal dense area. You no longer need to fiddle with your scanner's rotation and zoom to get at the stacked portals. It also means you can hack a little more inconspicuously in meetings. If there's no portals in range, you'll get a direction and distance to each portal in the list, making use of your watch's compass.
Nice.
So basically, after you hack your portal, you get to see hack results on the screen. It pops up a little thing of what's going on and stuff like that. The Wear app supports active mode, so it can keep your watch display on, but of course that's gonna destroy your battery life pretty quick.
I just bought this lovely Fitbit one. It doesn't have googly things on it.
Well, now you got the Pebble, the Fitbit. Now you need to buy the.
I bet it'd have to come to Pebble at least.
So
Would be able to do it, but not the Fitbit because they're all proprietary, everything locked down.
Apparently, it's pretty heavy on the battery if you leave it in active mode. Like they reckon you probably get 6 hours out of your battery max on your phone.
So you have to buy 2 watches, right? Yeah, problem solved.
The other thing is too, of course, there's a specific portal cradle now that you can put on your portal ingress cradle that you can put on your desk and put your phone on, and it's got a NFC chip in the cradle, and it automatically opens the app and automatically can do these preset things that you tell it to do. So
when I get to the office, rehack that portal that the nasty blue Smurfs have taken over while I was away on the weekend. That's what usually happened when I was working in the city. Unfortunately, where I work now, the closest one is about 1 kilometre or so away, so it's not too close to be able to hacking, and it's nowhere near where I'm going into work. Plus, I'm driving at the time, so I wouldn't want to be hacking on my phone while I'm going down. I'm in an industrial area, and there's just B-double trucks going vroom, vroom, vroom all day long, so you have to watch out even just crossing the road, let alone anything else. But where I was in the city, we'd hack all the ones around where I work, and a couple of other guys were nearby as well, and we got to chat in the secret channel, and then everything is green. You go home for the weekend, come back on Monday, everything's blue again. Oh well, at least we get to rehack everything again and get our points up, so who cares?
That's it, exactly. That's it.
They do have an interesting thing though. If you capture a portal key from the portal that you're at, so long as you're not too far away, you can actually repower it up while somebody is hacking it. So even from home where I am here, going into the city, if somebody hacks one of my portals that's in the city, I can sit here recharging it from the comfort of my lounge room, so long as I've got a key and I'm not too far away from it. So the further you are away, the less effective your recharging is, but you can still, deny this person some access while he's trying to hack all your stuff, and you keep recharge. You're not getting that one, you're not getting it.
Oh dear. Yeah, I'll have to get back into it again. The problem is I spend most of my time at work, and because I'm out of the city, I'm in the suburbs. There's not a lot really going on with activity, but there might be something worth looking at.
Yeah, check it out, dude. Now you've got to buy an Android watch, right?
Yeah, because I haven't bought enough.
Mr. T got no more tax refund left.
Not allowed to spend. No. I kind of bought a new camera. I bought a new Shure microphone. I bought a new XLR mixer.
Pram,
and change table and all that sort of stuff, and some more cabling and the new lighting and some sound deadening stuff. And yeah, my tax return kind of disappeared, and then I was spending money that wasn't in my tax return. I'm like, whoops.
Slow down. Slow down. I just finally got my other group certificate today, so I'll be able to get busy maybe early next week or something.
Yeah, well, I'll hook up and I'll show you how to do a real tax return. That reminds me too, I got my tax return back today.
Hey.
And they sent me a check.
What? Sorry, what was that you said? I think you're speaking foreign language.
On a bit of paper that had the amount of this much money. Yeah, I know. It was like, given that, I think what it was, when I did my tax return, it was the 1st of July.
Yep.
And the ATO rolled out their new integration with
MyGov.
Yeah, with the MyGov site, and there was warnings all over it saying this isn't working properly, come back later. I pushed through, and it eventually worked. But when I got to the end where it asked me to authenticate my bank details, I did, but I never got a confirmation back. So I'm assuming it never actually worked properly, that part of it.
So send him a piece of paper.
Yeah, pretty much. Instead of going, hey, let's use the same bank details that were registered last year and are still registered to the same person, we'll just send him a check, which I've now got to go to the bank. Well, no, actually, because I'm with ING, I have to go to the post office to cash the check. The upside is because I'm with ING, as soon as I scan the check, the money will be in my account. So, yeah.
Insta-pay.
Yeah, it is. It's really good. You don't have to wait the 3 to 5 days. They just do it as soon as you hand the check over, and they scan it, process it, and you get paid.
That was something interesting I noticed. I got an email the other day from MyGov saying, we've now integrated all of our stuff. Go have a look. So you log in. It's like, answer your secret questions. What's your dog's name? What was the number of your house? And then it's like you have to now register your phone number on your mobile. And every single time you log in, it's going to send you a security code to log in with.
It will the first time, and then you log in, you turn it off.
Oh, you can turn it off.
Yeah,
I'm not going to. I like mine.
I had to because it doesn't actually work.
You know what? I have it on for PayPal, and for months, fine. And for the last 3 months, anytime I buy anything on eBay, I use PayPal. Send me a code. I'm still waiting for those codes from about 3 months ago. Last week, I had to pay because Engine, who host our Obsidian Loft site, had to change their billing because they're not allowed to use payments at Engine. They were using billing at Engine. Now PayPal said you have to use payments at Engine for no apparent reason. So they just wait until we send you an email saying your subscription's run out, then resubscribe. So I did that, and I log on, and I'm like, okay, pay using PayPal, and it's like, send me a code. Nope, it's not come. So I raised the ticket with PayPal 4 days ago and haven't heard anything back from them, of course.
That's why
I can log in with my secret questions or the full credit card or bank card details or whatever you've got on there, but still, the whole point of having the two-factor was so that they would send me a SMS with the code on, and it doesn't.
That's why I don't use it, because it doesn't work.
I really liked, I got a credit card size card that had a number that was synchronized with their servers, and because it's got an OLED screen on it, it only ever uses the battery when you press new number by pressing the button on the card, and that worked for a few years, but then the battery went, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to bother buying another one. I'll just try out the mobile, and that worked for the next 2 or 3 years. So I was like, okay, I'll just keep using this, and now that's not working at all. So I'm just logging in with my secret details.
Yeah, see, I had to turn off the authentication because I spend a lot of time out of mobile range, and if I use Wi-Fi and stuff like that, like might be a post office Wi-Fi or a coffee shop Wi-Fi, so I can still access Gmail or access PayPal or whatever, but I may not actually be in phone range.
Yep.
So if you've got the phone authentication and you're trying to transfer money in your bank or you're trying to do PayPal or whatever,
not work.
You can't get the message.
That's why you can only get on to your Google with the Google Authenticator, but none of the other stuff.
Yeah, so that's why I turned everything off, just because of that reason. It's so hard to it's not reliable for one. You don't always get it, and secondly, I spend a lot of time out of phone range, so that I can't get it. So I know what they're trying to do, and it's great. I guess if you use it, I guess if you've got more than $11 in your bank account, it's probably an issue. Like for me, it's not really a problem. So
I only log on from work or home, so it's not too bad for me.
Yeah,
for my gov stuff, but any of the others, yeah, it can be a problem.
I mean, I don't trust the government with my data, so I actually trust hackers more than I trust the government. So it doesn't really matter, to be honest.
The other problem with that, of course, is when I I bought something on eBay the other day, a new case for my phone, using the eBay app on the iPad, and I'm like, okay, I've got to log into PayPal to pay for that, and it's like, you need your security code, which of course we can't send you because our system's crap. So, because you type in security code, password into the same box, and that's the only way you can authenticate using the app. So I was like, okay, I bought it. Now I have to go to my desktop, switch it on, boot it up, go to eBay, click pay for this item, go to PayPal, type in my security question answers. Yes, I really do want to give this person some of my money. Send it. Okay.
Yeah. No,
why is technology so difficult, Mr. William Tompkinson?
Somebody's been using handles. Oh no, it's alright. I keep calling you Warlock too. You'll hear
everybody does. When I was living in Newcastle, we had an internet cafe, and we just called each other Warlock, Chainsaw, Harlequin, Smuth, and these things, and we knew each other by a real name, but we just always called each other by that. And then we used to have meetups where people would come to meet each other who've been hanging out on the IRC channel. We had some people who wanted to call up to ensure what time it was going to be in the address, but they didn't know what our real names were, and they said, we felt a bit embarrassed to ring up and say, hello, is Warlock there? I need to speak to Warlock and find out what the address is. And we're like, but that's what we call each other here anyway, so everybody knows everyone's handle because it's the only thing that we call. I have, friends that I've known for years, and we just switched to our handles names after that, and we just called each other by that all the time. And so they were a bit embarrassed, so they didn't end up turning up to that meetup because they didn't know who to ask for.
Yeah,
It was
I know,
quite
it's
funny.
weird.
We used to also meet at the underground tavern at in Sydney, and there was a person who came in and they didn't know people's real names either after meeting them on IRC. So they go up to the bar and they're like, "Hi, I need to talk. Can you tell me who is Snagglepuss?" It's like, what kind of drugs are you on? No, I'm here to meet Snagglepuss. Sure you are, buddy. Yeah, whatever you're talking about.
Exit stage right.
Leave us exit, stage right.
Oh, dear.
Heavens to Murgatroyd even.
So yeah, it's weird because even when I'm tagging in Facebook, I go at Warlock. Oh wait, back.
You should be
At
able to, because I added
Jason.
that as a nickname.
It does now, yeah.
Yeah.
But up until like a few weeks ago, you'd be like, oh, hang on, I've got it. What's his name?
I have trouble with that as well. I'm like, well, one of my friends completely renamed herself with weird characters and an eye that has like a back tick because she wanted to be Irish and stuff. And I'm like, hey, I was going to tag you in this photo. You know who you are, but I don't know how to type your name anymore because you changed it to these weird characters that are
That's
Unicode, but my phone doesn't know and Facebook can't auto guess it, so too bad.
Yeah, I know. That's not necessarily a good move.
Optus has completed a rollout for the ATO of what is claimed to be the first deployment of its type in voice biometrics in Australia. The Nuance free speech system is designed to remove the need for callers to answer security questions such as, "What is your birth date?" instead authenticating callers by the sound of their voice. My voice is my passport. Identify me. According to Nuance, the ATO rollout is the first of its type in Australia where customers are verified during inbound and outbound and calls without intrusive questioning. The rollout has the potential to save thousands of man-hours at the ATO's call centre staff, if you can get through, who previously spent about 75,000 hours a year verifying callers. Optus is already a managed network service provider to the ATO and has deployed the technology in 2 stages. First rolling out Nuance's vocal password product last year, allowing callers to register a phrase they can speak to verify their account. The second phase saw the completion of the free speech deployment in April. More than 760,000 people enrolled with the ATO to use the voice security technologies between September 2014 to mid-July this year. The free speech system aims to verify callers' voices regardless of accent, language, does that include bad language, or call quality.
Yeah, right. They're having a Skype over there.
As the
I
caller
can't even
speaks,
identify myself.
the system analyzes over 100 voice characteristics, comparing them with a stored voice print. And a verification score can be sent to the call centre's voice system or the receiver's computer or CRM. See, this is the problem with these places. You ring up, it's like, please type in your 92-digit membership code. Blip, 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 blip. Please type in your 6-digit birth date. Blip, 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 blip. Did you press hash? Blip, 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 blip. Hi, welcome to blah blah. What's your name? What's your 92-digit code? What's your birth date? But I just typed that in the... Yeah, we don't actually get that in the call centre. It's just to get you through the first part to make sure that you actually know those things. And now you have to repeat all the things again.
I know, right? That annoys me knowing. And then when you start yelling at them, they suddenly go, "Now, Mr. Tompkinson, settle down." You're like, "Now, hang on, didn't you just tell me you didn't have any of that information?"
Yes, how do you know who I am?
Oh, what we meant was, I know exactly what you meant. Now, this is the way it's going to work.
My name's Bob.
Billy Bob, my friend.
Billy Bob Thornton.
Oh, dear. So, Samsung. As you know, I'm a bit of a fan of Samsung. I've got the Note 2, the Note 3, the Note 4, a few other phones. They traditionally announce their Note in September, which puts it up against Apple's release. Now, I did cover this story last week, but at last week it was only sort of hearsay. It's now been confirmed that they will actually be announcing the Note 5 and the Edge.
Now it's
Thersay
instead of hearsay.
Yeah, that's it. So they actually will be doing it earlier this year. So they're going to try and get in before the iPhone 6S announcement, which is they reckon it's going to be in September. So yeah, they reckon they're going to launch the phones earlier to try and get that little bit of undercutting going on there. So that should be.
I had a bit of a look at the Edge and the large Note thing on the weekend, and my daughter was like, "What the hell is this thing?"
The Edge
and
is
it's
interesting,
curvy and it feels weird in your hand. And
I played with it for a couple of hours, and then I picked up the phone, and
Ding, ding.
the
I want you to play.
the phone's good. Like, I don't have my phone here. As an example, like when you put your phone face down, so you've got that little edge on it. So if you've got Twitter or you've got a notifier of some description,
Goes around the edge.
it does show up there. So that's cool. But
Ticker.
when you actually hold it, because of the way these screens work, they are multi-touch to a point. But if you say you stick if you hold your phone, you put one finger on the screen, you can't scroll, for example. It locks the screen. Yep. It's the same thing with the Edge. If you hold it and your hand, especially because I've got bigger hands than the phone's suitable for, and you wrap your hand around it and your thumb touches where the screen is on the edge, it locks the screen. So you can't do anything else. So
you have to hold it like this.
Yeah, you have to hold it like top and bottom or something. And I get it. I know what they're trying to do, but honestly, what they would be better off doing is physically putting two screens on the edge and making them two separate screens. So you can still have your ticker and your messenger or whatever you want on that small screen.
Yep.
Don't make it touch sensitive because you're not going to do anything on that small touch screen anyway. And make it so that when you actually, so that when you hold it, that screen actually could turn, so it could even be pressure sensitive. So when you hold it, that screen turns off just to save a little more battery power.
Yep.
And it activates the main screen. So it's great. It's good fun. I kind of get what they're getting at. And probably if you're a business executive or something like that, who their phone sits on the table all day and something, it may be useful, but for the average person, not so much. The Note 5.
Yes, while you're in a meeting, you can be sitting there looking at the edge of your phone at the corner of your eye.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
I
mean, yes, it is terrible that we lost that $40,000 deal this week.
Yeah, I know, right? But so I mean, but the Note 5 looks good. It's got 4 gig of LP DDR4 RAM, so it's actually a step up because I think the Note 4 only used DDR2 RAM.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be on DDR4, so it's going to be fairly bit quicker. It'll have the new 64-bit processors, which allows them to have 4 gig of RAM because previously they can only run, I think they only ran 2, but they could limit it at 3 because they're only 32-bit processors. So of course it's going to make the TouchWiz and the UI a lot more smoother and a lot nicer to play with. Running the 64-bit octa-core processor. It's got the CPU, the GPU, and the RAM is all built onto the chip, so it's pretty intense single chip.
Do people still use TouchWizes and Moto Blurs and things anymore?
Well, TouchWiz is the default.
Yeah, but mine's got a default crappy thing as well, but I use the Nova.
The TouchWiz is fine, actually. It's pretty decent.
But I like my 3D when you swap screens, it makes it into a rotating cube, and it's cool.
I don't spend enough time swapping screens. I just, the last thing I want to spend time on is my home screen.
I got widgets everywhere.
Yes, so do I, exactly. So I flick.
But I got 4 screens of widgets. That's what I mean. When I switch, it makes it 3D cube turn.
Yeah, I mean, I can do that on mine, but I don't. It's just one of
cool.
Don't
you want to be cool?
But I want to get to my next screen quicker. It takes too long to look cool. So the Note 5 is going to be pretty cool. It's got, I believe I read somewhere, it's got a 14 megapixel camera or something.
About A4 size.
Which is it's kind of irrelevant at that point though, because the actual CMOS sensor is only a quarter-inch sensor at best, maybe even an 1/8 inch. So having 14 megapixels on a quarter-inch sensor, it's only going to have limited results anyway, especially in low light.
Yeah, that's what Apple was saying when they brought out their next one. Everyone's like, but where's the megapixels? They're like, it's better to have a larger sensor than it is to have megapixels. You get better quality images.
A 2 or 4 megapixel. Like I've got a my old Sony DSLR. It's only 4, I think, megapixel.
Yep.
But because it's got a full 1-inch sensor in it, it does really high quality. Like a 4 megapixel image on that is far superior to the Note 3 10 megapixel image.
I guess people don't really care because they're just going to shrink it into a square in Instagram and put sepia on it and send it out because they're hip.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much it anyway. So it's kind of irrelevant at that point, isn't it?
That's why, because of Instagram, camera resolution and quality doesn't matter anymore in phones.
No. Well, that was actually one of the things I had about that on this thing I was talking about CSI. They said with the day of the selfie, it makes it really easy to target Because they use what do they call it?
Space.
My space place or something is my face place, I think they call it.
Yep.
On the show.
Yep.
It's basically Facebook. They call it like my face place or something like that is what it's called. And they do that, and they do like it's cool dating or something is one of the dating sites. So it's sort of just made up, so don't get anyone in trouble. But what they were saying, one of the things was there was women being abducted.
Yep.
And they found out that what was happening was the guy was going onto the dating site and finding out her Facebook profile and going to the Facebook or whatever they call it and clicking on her photos, and all her photos were selfies, and they all had the metadata locations of where she took them. So this guy was tracking her with all these selfies, finding out where she hung out the most and where she lived and all this sort of stuff by the selfies with the geotagging on the photos. So
those sites should all remove the metadata from them.
No, you just turn the bloody GPS location off on your photos. How hard is it? I have them on. So
where I come from.
When I take my photo, it's on the photo. So if I want to go back later and look at it, but it's set to not send. So if I upload it to Facebook or I email it or I take it off the device, except with a direct data connection.
Have you ever
like
worked in
USB
any
or something.
tech support role?
Yeah.
People don't know how to do those things.
I know. Because nobody reads the internet.
We're going to send your credit card details, social security number, and children's names, ages to this site. Are you okay with this? Yes.
Yeah, that's
I
right,
need
exactly.
to match the gems.
I need that
if
minion.
I don't send the details, you won't give me 50 billion Medjas virtual coins.
Yeah, I know. I need that minion. I don't care how much it costs me or how many generations of my family have to pay for it. Give me that minion.
Filet minion.
I can understand. No, it wasn't that hilarious. So yeah. So I guess what are we talking about? Yeah, it's your turn now.
You're finished. Flapping your lips.
That story's finished. It's just an update.
Australian tech entrepreneurs are succeeding in spite of legislation and policies from the federal government, according to Superloop Chief Executive Daniel Abrahams. In a stinging critique of the state of technology innovation in Australia, delivered at Comms Day Summit in Sydney, Abraham said Australia is increasingly falling behind regional ICT hubs such as Singapore. He joins a number of prominent business leaders and public figures, including Chief Scientist Ian Chubb, who've called for increased support for Australian innovation. The entrepreneurs in Australia are some of the most innovative because they execute in spite of government policy, in spite of having no support, he said. While Abrahams acknowledged that Prime Minister Tony Abbott had attended a recent River City Labs startup incubator event, he said tech innovation was still not a key policy focus for Australian governments. We can do so much more by way of tax breaks in making sure our research institutions and educational institutions are properly funded and that we provide support for our startups. And if I look back at what I saw at River City Labs versus what I'm seeing in Singapore, they are worlds apart, and we're not taking the opportunity. I'm not just calling on just the government to take leadership. We in the ICT industry need to take leadership. According to Abrahams, Australia should follow the example of Southeast Asian nations such as Singapore. In 2013, South Korea, Singapore, Hong Kong, the Netherlands and United Kingdom took the top 5 spots in the Global Innovation Index Information and Communication Technology ratings. By contrast, Australia was ranked 13th. How unlucky.
Sounds about right.
We don't believe in technology in this country, son.
No, don't need
Just
that.
mining.
That's it, exactly. And as long as it's mine's owned by Chinese, you're fine.
Yep.
You can't have windmills because they're unsightly and noisy and
dangerous,
devastating and all that sort of stuff. But you can have a big open cut mine because that's fine.
Yep. Cut holes in stuff. And
Yeah,
they're going
exactly.
to move into around Sydney where the farmers have been, turn it into an open cut mine and get rid of the farming
Yes.
land.
'Cause
You
that
don't
looks much
need
better.
food. You can get that from overseas.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Like it's getting to the point where I think people had just about enough.
Well, something people don't understand is before they came in, the government was making X dollars a year, right? Then they go, okay, we're not going to do mining tax anymore. We're not going to do mining petrol tax. We're not going to do carbon tax. So we moved all of these taxes, they're all gone. So now we've got lots and lots of money that we're not getting anymore that we used to get. Now we got to, budget emergency. Okay, you need to pay more money when you go to see the doctor. We're going to raise interest rates, income tax for middle income and shut down women's refugees refuges, and we're going to shut down Aboriginal support and just take all the money from there, because we don't want to take money from the billion-dollar mining companies, do we? We stopped all of that. Exactly. So now we're missing all that money. Where's it got to come from? Everybody else. You can't just cut out all of these taxes from these places and then go, we're fine still.
They didn't really cut out taxes that were worth that much, because with the fuel excise, they cut out the 4 cents a litre fuel excise, but the 24 cent or whatever it is a litre war tax is still on the fuel. So then they've never taken those off. They add those. There's now 3 war taxes on the fuel. There was one from the First World War that was never removed. They added the Second World War to that, and that never got removed. And then when we started the thing, Operation Desert Storm, I think it goes way back to the first one. But another one was added, and it's never been removed. So there's actually 3 war taxes on fuel. So they could cut 3 cents excise because that was irrelevant. So, yeah. So they may seem like they're cutting taxes, but don't worry, they're not. They're not
I'm just lucky that Eric's not on.
You know what's funny, though? Yeah. You know what's funny is under, say, take the American Statue of Liberty? No. That piece of paper that everyone signed for the Declaration of Independence.
Yep.
Which we don't have.
Have you been watching Jim Jeffries?
No.
He's awesome. You've got to watch him talk about gun law in America.
Yeah. But the thing is, they have, as a Second Amendment, the right to bear arms.
Yep.
Now, regardless what you think of that, the reason that ruling is there, and it is actually, if you read into the doctrine, it's there because you have the right to bear arms so that when your government rises against you, you can take the government back.
Can we do that here?
Well, that's why they have that amendment. We don't have that right because the government knows that that's what will happen. If we have the ability to rise up against the government, they've got no power over us because they've taken away all our rights and such. We don't even have freedom of speech in this country. We don't. It's written out of the law.
Not when you're going to say, hey, there are women and children being abused in these asylum places. Shh, you can't say that anymore or you'll go to jail if you tell anyone.
Exactly. And everyone goes, oh, but I've got access to freedom of speech. No, nowhere in our Constitution. Now. We've never had it. In our Constitution,
no, I mean that we thought we did.
Oh, yeah. But that we never had that. We never had freedom of speech. We never had some, like, in the States they've got, not only in the States, in the UK and a lot of places like that, they actually have things like, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's basically spouse protection. So if, say, your partner does something wrong or they're chasing him for a speeding fine or they're accused of something, they can't force you to hand them over.
Yep.
In Australia, they can. If you don't hand them over, then they throw you in jail, and then they go find that person anyway. So the whole way our law is written is to basically make us pawns with no power. Yep. That's the reason it's there. That's why they keep implementing these more and more stupid laws. The more they can suppress us, and the more they can give us the ability to not think for ourselves, the easier it is for them to come in and say, oh, we're going to charge you this tax, we're going to pass this new law, oh, here, let's make it illegal for you to talk on the phone, even if it's not held in your hand now.
But thinking's hard, I'd rather watch Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. Let's make it so you can't smoke in your own car. Let's make it so you can't smoke in your own house.
I was reading something interesting recently. They were talking about other countries compared to Australia where you can go down to the shop, buy a 6-pack of beer and go sit down at the park and drink your beer there. And they know that those people there are not going to go get drunk and then come start punch-ups like they do in Sydney and things. But it's a lot more freer there. And we have to make laws to stop people doing stupid crap like that.
No, we don't have to make laws. We choose to make laws because they can't be bothered educating the people. They call it legislate, not educate. And that's their motto, whereas most smart countries in the world educate, don't legislate.
And the people are quite fine. They drink only enough, not over drink and then get into fights and stuff because they know that's not the thing you do.
That's it. I mean,
here we're too dumb.
Most countries have the common man law, or the normal man law, which basically means in a normal situation, under normal conditions, a normal person behaves this way.
Yep.
That's what most of the laws are based on. Not over here. It doesn't work like that. So anyway, enough ranting. More news.
More news. Do you have any?
I do. I have. How are we going for time? Because I've got a heap. I probably need to cull some.
You're New Zealander now. We pronounce it kill here, not cull.
Ha ha ha.
Doug Anthony All-Stars. I like that joke.
Yes,
Solar
yes,
powered
right.
plane halfway through an attempt to circle the globe will be grounded in Hawaii for at least 9 months because of battery... Can you help them out? Because of battery damage sustained during its record 118-hour flight to Oahu from Japan, the project team said on Wednesday. The spindly single-seat experimental aircraft dubbed Solar Impulse 2 is not expected to take off on the next leg of its journey, a planned 4-day, 4-night flight to Phoenix, Arizona, until late April or early May 2016, the team said. Additional time is needed to repair the plane's 4 batteries, which store energy from the sun during daylight hours to keep the aircraft powered overnight, allowing it to remain aloft around the clock on extreme long-distance flights. The repairs and testing will then push the next available window for completing the plane's Trans-Pacific crossing the next spring, in terms of both weather conditions and sufficient hours of daylight. The batteries became overheated during the aircraft's initial climb after takeoff on June 29 from Nagoya, Japan, en route to Hawaii on the 8th and most challenging leg of the circumnavigation quest, officials for the mission team said. Well, if that doesn't prove that solar is crap and we shouldn't use it, I don't know what does. Can you fix their batteries?
I would love to tell them I told you so, because back when this launched, I didn't put it on Aussie Tech Heads because I wasn't in the mood that night, but I was having discussions with a few friends and found out they were using lithium batteries, which are great. High density, lightweight, fast recharge. Unfortunately, incredibly fickle, hate heat, hate cold, and aren't very forgiving if something goes wrong, and potentially explosive if something does go wrong.
Yep.
So
I had planes and couriers have so much trouble with them.
Well, you can't fly lithiums on planes. They ban them from planes now. You can't. We import batteries. That's my job. Well, my job's to sell them, but we do import them as part of the thing. But we cannot actually import batteries via air now. All lithium batteries have to come in via sea.
Yep.
Because why? Because everybody's mobile phone, laptop, PDA, none of those have got lithium batteries in them. No. And a laptop battery has never exploded. Never in recorded history anywhere has a laptop battery caught on fire and melted through the desk.
No. Aren't we lucky?
Yeah, I know, right? So back when this happened, I said, unfortunately, that's not going to work. Lithium's too fickle at this point. It's great.
You could have said I told you so, but you didn't say it, so you can't.
That's right. The whole purpose. I mean, I get it. They use them. They're light. They're really light. They're incredibly light. Like, you know.
They go great in your Prius.
Well, no, Prius don't have lithium batteries.
Do they? What do they use?
No, they got nickel metal hydrides.
There you go.
The new
from Mr. Battery himself.
The new generation of Camry that's coming out, and actually the new platform they're using, they're going to basically use one base platform, and they're going to put the Camry, the Prius, some of the vans, all the different vehicles are going to be able to drop onto this one common chassis. They will be lithium, but they're not released yet because they kind of broke as well.
It's probably a good idea to have them all common, though, rather than having all different ones and then trying to support that. Cause
that's the idea.
How that goes with technology.
Yeah.
Mixed technology, folks. It's great. That's why we got our NBN through it.
Yeah, that's right. Every car manufacturer who produces a car after 2016, I think, has to have a hybrid or an electric vehicle.
Nice.
It's just part of the new
I'd like
Euro
to get one when I trade in my Honda Jazz.
Oh, they're great. They really are. Like the biggest thing with Priuses is there's that smug cloud that follows them around. If you've ever seen that South Park episode, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But the thing is, that's true. There's this air of smugness around it. You can thank San Francisco mostly for that. But there's sort of this mindset that because they're healthy for the environment, they're better than everyone else. Not so much of that happens in this country. They are great. A friend of mine 3 years ago bought an ex-taxi Prius, which had 400,000 Ks on it when he bought it. He's had it for 3 years, put another 100,000 Ks on it, and then he's sold it to my nephew, who now owns it at 520,000 Ks, and they drive it everywhere. And to give you an idea, they drove from Brisbane to Gympie, which is 200 Ks, back to Brisbane, so that's another 200, back to Lismore, which is 300 south, then back to Brisbane, then back to Gympie. So 3, 6, so it's at 5, so that's 1,100 Ks or something.
Yep.
And they got back to Gympie, they put fuel in it, and it cost them $24. So regardless of what you think, $24 worth of...
I don't think I'll get that far.
I'm
lucky to get 500 Ks out of one tank.
You know, they got 1100 Ks, or it might have even been more if my maths was wrong. On 30-ish bucks worth of
But
fuel.
how they had solar panels on the roof, right? That was how they did it. I've seen that ad on TV with the guy driving around the van.
Yeah, well, that's
stealing solar power from people.
I know, right? But I mean, honestly, like, there's a car. This car's got over 500,000 Ks on it. Still uses that sort of fuel economy.
Yep.
It's had the main battery packs replaced 100,000 Ks ago at the cost of, I think it's $3,000 now for an entire battery pack for it. Never had the motor rebuilt, never had the car touched other than general servicing.
Yep.
And you jump in it and you'd swear it's a brand new car. No squeaks, no rattles, no noises, everything works.
Nice.
So
I would say the same for myself.
Yeah, exactly. So if they have a common basis that is bulletproof like that, and they put all different cars on top of it,
yep,
it's a perfect platform.
Nice. Plug and play.
Yeah, exactly.
If only Windows would do that.
Yeah. Yeah, let's invent that technology, shall we? So, Chromecast, seeing as we're still talking about Google and stuff like, well, I am anyway. They're now offering a 90-day free trial for for a few different ones. They've got a 90-day Google Play music, so you can use any music for 90 days. They've got a 30-day free trial of Crunchyroll, which is a really nice ice block that's sort of a cross between a Tootsie Roll and a Crunchy. Yeah. So it's a music service as well. It's just another streaming music service, 30-day trial of that. And you get a 90-day trial, unlimited trial of Deezer, which I think is a cross between a deer and an old person.
Dear old geezer.
So that's another. So you get a 90-day trial on that. That's all through Google. Of course, once your trial ends, if you don't suspend it, you're looking at like $12 a month example for Deezer. So, but yeah, if you want to have a bit of streaming music for the next 3 months and not have to worry about it, that'll take you through to almost Christmas, and you can ask someone to get you a gift card, I suppose.
Yeah. Nice.
So,
what else
I guess the Commodore 64.
Phone.
We all loved this. Yeah, it was great. As a kid, Commodore 64, you got most of us into where we are now, or an equivalent sort of system. It actually went out of business in the 90s, got bought out by someone else. There's been a few sort of attempts and there's a Commodore 64 computer coming out, or Commodore computer that only sort of shares the name but nothing else. But
it's the IBM clone that's got Windows and stuff on it, but also bits in Commodore 64.
Yeah, exactly. So, if you're like me and you still like playing some of the old games, which we're talking about on Old Fart Geeks the other week, Whizball and that sort of thing, you've had to use emulators and whatnot to do that, which is fine. But now there's a Commodore phone. There's a handset called the PET. Uses 64-bit octa-core MediaTek processor clocked at 1.7. 16 gig of storage with 2 gig of RAM for $300, or 32 gig of storage and 3 gig of RAM for $365. Wow, I'll take that one, thanks. 5.5-inch 1080p full HD display, Gorilla Glass 3, 13 megapixel on the rear and an 8 megapixel on the front.
Huge.
It's got a physical shutter too, not just a digital shutter.
What do you think of the specs?
Massive 3 amp hour battery to power it all. And the neat part is it comes with a Commodore 64 and an Amiga 500 emulator.
Nice.
So I reckon that's the coolest part about it. Look, honestly, an octa-core 1.7? Yes, please. I'll take that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. I mean, the Note 4 is only an octa-core 1.8, I think, or 2, so it's not that much behind that. And given that a Java emulator is only going to use one core anyway, that's fine. And I think 3 gig of RAM and 32 gig of storage for $365.
Yep.
Hell yeah, I'll be in that.
It's cheaper than my LG G3 with the same specs.
My only question is, where do you plug the floppy drive in, or the tape drive? Like, there's got to be somewhere. Like, there has to be a catch.
Maybe it's USB, micro USB to floppy drive connector or something.
Yeah, you need it. I mean, it's not a Commodore 64 without a tape drive. It's just wrong.
Plug in your 1541.
Although you could probably get away if you get one of the cassette cases, put it in a cassette case, and you kind of might get away with it a bit.
Yeah.
But no, honestly, it's a Chinese brand of phone. Yeah, it's a PET, but who cares? For that sort of money, Let's see if I can find a bit more what Android version's running. Oh, it's running Lollipop.
Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to buy a phone outright, you don't want to go on a plan, you want a fairly quick phone, decent specs, decent camera, good battery life, and it just happens to be the coolest like emulator phone ever.
Yep.
Yes, please. And if anybody wants to give me one, wants to send me one to test out, I'll more than do that for you.
I think I was reading there's a new Kickstarter or Indiegogo or something, the story of the Commodore 64 as a book or something coming out soon.
Oh,
so
okay.
that would be interesting. I'm already sponsoring one by Hewson Consultants, who made a lot of games like Paradroid and Gribbly's Day Out and things like that, and waiting to get his stuff. And I already did Bedroom to Billions on Kickstarter. That was a good one. Got a nice little movie out of there with interviews of people who were programmers and musicians and things on Commodore 64 and other old machines, Spectrums and things. So that was quite good.
I actually started watching some of that on YouTube. Some of the making of, I think it is. It looks pretty decent.
Pretty cool. Anything left to wrap up?
How are we for time?
Anything left to wrap up?
Yeah, I got a couple of quick stories if
I'm
we're
being
good.
subtle. Anything left to wrap up?
So I have to mention too. I wish I knew how to say his name properly, but Satoru Iwata, who is of course basically the father, I suppose, of Nintendo.
Yep.
He worked for Nintendo Co. for basically forever. He was the president of the company as things are. He was responsible for things like Pokemon, Super Mario. His ideas were like Nintendo DS and stuff like that. And yeah, so he died the other day. So Nintendo Co. deeply regrets the announced president Iwata passed away on July 11th, 2015 due to a bile duct growth, apparently.
Sounds nasty.
He was fairly well respected in the game industry and in the industry in general. He sort of created the whole culture behind the, like, there was the technology, but he sort of created the culture to go with that technology. So yeah, it's a bit sad, but hopefully, he's got some good underlings who can keep it up. I mean, Nintendo's been for a few years in terms of, but they've always been there,
Yeah.
So
once they bring all their characters and games onto Android and iOS, they'll kick off again big time.
They pretty much have to. And one last thing, Windows 10, who, if anybody's been, I don't know, I wonder if Eric's got his updates yet. Last time we were talking, Eric's little update thing still hadn't appeared in the Windows bar, so...
last week he managed to get it going. He had unjoined the domain. It won't work if you join to a domain.
Oh, that's interesting. So, but, anybody who's, whoops, wrong button. Dang it, now it'll never work again. So apparently, this time they got Windows right. Apparently, there's no faults at all. It's perfect and completely under control. So, yeah. But I just wanted to mention that. Having said that, apparently all these conspiracy theorists about the updates and the launches and how it's going to work. 2 weeks ahead of the global launch window, Microsoft has finalised terms of its license agreement of the new operating system. They've had several days to study the documents in detail and can report there are no surprises, no gotchas, and no hidden subscription traps waiting to be sprung.
They've reported that, or somebody else has?
No, ZDNet.
Oh, so you say Microsoft have reported we're not trying to trick you on anything. No. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. All right.
Microsoft has consistently said its new Windows as a service model doesn't change the basic licensing term for Windows, which is still true.
It's probably going to be their last Windows as well from now on. They're just going to be Windows 10.01, 02, 03, 04 forever. Just keep updating
probably.
Windows 10.
What's interesting is the Windows operating system license terms. If you live or a principal place of business is in the United States, please read the binding abrogation clause, etc. Now, that appears on every copy of Windows that's sold anywhere. They didn't amend it for anywhere else. So apparently this only applies. So you're quite welcome to pirate anywhere else in the world. Go for it. So basically, there's a few noteworthy changes. Instead of putting separate agreements for each edition, Home, Pro, etc., there's just one blanket agreement now. Activation licensing status from a non-genuine copy of Windows. As usual, the license allows to install and run on a single licensed device that requires activation. The new agreement adds a clause uploading or updating from non-genuine software with software from Microsoft or authorized sources does not make the original version of the updated version genuine. In that situation, you do not have a license to use your software. So in other words, you now have the licensed version of the new software, like Windows 10, if you've paid for that. So if you've got a cracked version of 7 or whatever, you can now install 10, purchase the license, and legitimately own 10. It doesn't mean you own that 7. That 7's still cracked, but at least you own the 10 now.
I heard something interesting on a podcast the other day. They were saying Windows 7 is now the biggest, just recently is now the biggest selling operating system because you can buy a Windows 7 for about $20.
Yep.
And then you get a free upgrade to Windows 10. So everyone's just buying all the licenses to Windows 7.
Well, I'm still running... All my systems are still running Windows 7 except my laptop, which came with Windows 8. But I have about 4 licenses of Windows 8. So when it comes time to upgrade, even though Windows 8 doesn't run on any of my computers, I'll install it. I'll install it just to have it on there so that I can upgrade to 10.
There you go. I can't wait to try 10.
There's a few other things. The new license agreement preserves the long-standing transfer rights. OEM copies are locked to the device which they're sold, blah, 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 blah. So in other words, if you sell a computer, you have to sell a copy of Windows with it as well, except that Windows is now licensed to a person instead of the machine, even though it's to be sold with the hardware. The person doesn't own it. So does that mean I have to sell my name and everything as well?
So you sold to Microsoft.
So you can also, if you buy a version of PC with Windows pre-installed, you have the right to downgrade to either of the 2 earlier versions, in this case Windows 7 or Windows 8.1 for free, with the normal 10-year Microsoft support lifecycle. They're still doing automatic updates, of course, and no commercial use rights for Office products. Some Windows 10 editions will include Microsoft Office programs, as with Windows RT. Those products are limited to personal and non-commercial use. Businesses need to have an Office 365 business subscription or assign a perpetual Office license to a device. So if I buy, I don't know, 20 RTs for my business, I just give them to the people as presents, and they don't need to buy Windows Office.
Nice.
Problem solved.
So we should mention. Somebody had pointed out that in just a few short years, 5 years, we're going to be in the roaring 20s again.
Mm-hmm.
And also there was something recently about some sort of satellite and a planet or something. You hear anything about that?
Didn't they find a dog on the moon or something?
There was a love heart.
Was it? I thought it was Pluto.
Loves us.
I thought it was actually Pluto.
Pluto loves us. There's a love heart on Pluto.
Oh, I didn't see that one. I saw the one where they actually found Pluto on Pluto.
Ruff.
I thought. Yeah, did you see that one where they
hello Pluto?
They had a dark spot. I'll see if I can find it quicker. They had a dark spot on the surface of Pluto, and it just happens to be exactly the same shape as Pluto. And so somebody actually...
And it's orange, the same colour as Pluto.
And would you believe I can't find it? Oh, there we go. Let's see if I can quickly bring that up. How do I switch cameras like that? There we go. So you can see there. See one of the shade spots on.
Oh, yeah. Other people were saying that's the shape of a love heart. So.
Okay. No, I reckon, it's the shape of Pluto. Pluto's Pluto.
Pluto's on Pluto. Amazing technology. Yeah. Before we saw a blurry thing somewhere out in the distance, I reckon it's probably a planet. Suddenly we send a satellite out, and it turns out it is.
Yeah, good to know. We weren't just imagining things.
Yep. Don't forget, each week on Facebook we post free applications for iPhone and Android, so keep an eye out for that. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/AussieTechHeads. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AussieTechHeads. Watch our YouTubes on YouTube at youtube.com/AussieTechHeads. I'm picking up a theme here. Don't forget, of course, to listen to the various Australian podcasts streaming from AussieTechRadio.com, Two Blokes Talking Tech, the Obsidian Loft Minecraft podcast, All Fart Geeks, Geeksphere, Your Tech Life, and more. And we'll catch you again next week, no doubt. Glennie might be back from whatever he's up to this week.
What's he doing? Sniffing paint or something? I can't remember what he's doing.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. And we'll see you again next time. Have a good week, everyone. Bye.
See ya. Bye.